Welcome to the Value Script. We're grateful to have you with us today. We got a great show. It's going to be a little different format. We are going to be responding to feedback and questions.
Yep.
And we appreciate, first of all, we want to tell you how much we appreciate you giving us the feedback, asking the questions, and listening to the show. Thank you very much.
A lot of these will be coming from different platforms too. So, I mean, I'm going to be reading the YouTube. I think you're on the Instagram. You've even got some text messages. So like, don't feel like that, you're not going to be heard if you comment somewhere else.
Fantastic. All right. Without further ado, I'm your host, Lonnie Carmichael. This is the lovely co-host, Meredith Carmichael. We got in studio our producer, Justin Bush, with the editing magic.
Hello.
Hello there.
And here we go.
Here.
Let's do this.
So yeah, on YouTube, on the price to become a dentist.
Yes.
On one of your shorts, the guy said, the crazy part about becoming a dentist specifically is that no one ever talks about the fact that you also need to be a small business owner. I would love to hear him discuss the struggles, if there were any, of being a dentist and a small business owner at the same time. I'm sure if he has his own private practice or not, but that would be interesting to hear.
Yeah. It's a great question. And he's totally right. I did start Sun Valley Pediatric Dentistry here in the Phoenix metropolitan area. As I came out of residency, I kind of thought, I don't need to reinvent the wheel. I'm going to join a large group. I'm going to do my 20 years, get the gold Rolex as a retirement gift, ride the wave. And I joined a practice. 2008, the recession hit. It wasn't long before I could see the writing on the wall. They just weren't busy enough to be able to maintain the salary they were paying me. And I was going to be out of a job pretty soon. Not long after that, the partners came to me and they said, hey, and I had even sent an email prior to that asking kind of to be fired just because I didn't really fit in the practice. It was, I love the guys. They were a lot of fun. They were a lot of fun and they were great guys. A couple of them were even great dentists. But they just, our standards and our morals and ethics, were just not quite totally aligned. So I, was starting to get uncomfortable with that and realizing that it was getting slow. Schedules were slow. I actually said, hey, I imagine you guys are having budget issues with what's going on in the economy. Here's how you can save X amount of dollars a year. Basically let me go.
Really?
Yeah. And they read that. A couple weeks later, they came to me and they said, hey, you're right. We can't afford to keep you. We're sorry, but we're going to ask you to go down to part-time employment and we'll give you a month. And then we can't pay you anymore. We're going to have to start trimming the fat on our budget sides and try to figure out how to survive the recession. So that was disheartening. I was 9 years post high school and deep in education. I had 4 degrees. I had my dental degree, I had a master's degree, my bachelor's degree, and associate degree. And here I am. I'm working back on the farm driving tractor for my dad while I'm trying to figure out how to work part-time and launch my career. I had a friend, we talked about him on the very first episode. We talked about my friend Kurt. And he was like, Lonnie, you got to call this guy. You got to call Mike Warm. You got to call Mike. He's a practice broker. He helped me find a great opportunity. He helped me find a practice. So I called Mike. Long story short, in the end of 2008, beginning of January 2009, I closed on our first practice. It was a failing practice in Gilbert, Arizona. And I bought it as a short sale, got it for a song. It was fantastic. And we were able to go in there, double revenues within a year. We changed quite a few things, changed the culture of the practice, marketed aggressively, and like I said, doubled revenue within a year. We also, on Meredith's birthday, July 24th, 2009, signed the papers. I bought another practice. It was at the time, cosmetic dental practice that was geared toward women. So they were attempting to be an all-female cosmetic dental practice, and that did not survive the recession. So we bought the building and inherited a couple of staff members and turned it into a pediatric dental practice. And that has been our banner office. And while I could spend probably 3 days talking about the things that I've learned in the business side of dentistry, the Cliff Notes version, you got to watch your P&L, and you need to understand what the P&L numbers mean. Your profit and loss statement. If you don't know what P&L in, that is a profit and loss statement. And the reason I say that is my partner quite readily admitted a couple years ago, he goes, dude, I don't know what I'm looking at with these P&Ls. I don't even know what they are. And so we started diving into that together a little bit. But there are certain percentages and things that you want to have your staff costs be. You want to have your occupation or your occupation costs, the cost that it takes you to have a place to operate your business. You want your occupation costs to be a certain percentage. You want your marketing costs to be a certain percentage, no higher than. And in order to achieve an NOI, or net operating income, of 25% or better. Most single-owned dental practices that are not associate-based can achieve an overhead of 60, maybe 55% if you're really running thin, and you have a 40% profit margin. That is if you are the only dentist in the practice and you are the owner of the practice and you structure it right. Most associate-run practices, your NOI is going to be much closer to only 20%, or really if you're running a great 25, maybe 30, but that is really hard to get to if you're paying associate doctor salaries and also paying yourself and then looking for profit at the end of the day. And so there is a lot that goes into it. I'd be happy to even, we were talking earlier, I should start doing consulting because of the things I've learned. And so if you want to reach out to us again, if there's any, you want to DM us, I can walk you through whatever. But I've learned a ton. We should probably do some shows on that. Really, go into that.
Have like a whole consulting side.
Yeah.
It's
not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Not a bad idea.
Do you want to read one of the Instagram ones or any messages that you got?
Well, there was one I wanted Merritt to respond to. It was from Brittany. Let's see. There's a little bit on here.
There was one comment on YouTube. A guy said, "My dog's name is Lonnie." That was all he said.
That's so funny.
I'm debating whether or not to tell this story. Yeah, this happened yesterday in the office. I had a patient's dad. I walked in the room and I said, "Hi, my name is Lonnie." And he goes, "Oh, this is my daughter's name. Her name's Kalani." He goes, "My brother's name is Lonnie." He's like, "Is that a family name that you have?" And I said, and I started laughing. I said, "Why do you ask?" He goes, "Because the only people I know named Lonnie are like me." And he was African American. And I was like, "Well, yeah." I was kind of chuckled when you said that because I had a professor in dental school, and his name was Lonnie, spelled I-E, not Y.
I don't know anybody else named Lonnie.
Really?
Yeah.
You need to get out more, bro.
Right.
Anyway.
I also dated a girl named Justine, so that was weird.
Back to my story before the interruption.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Dr. Johnson, he looked at me, he goes, "Hey, so your name's Lonnie?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "What part of the country did you grow up in?" And I said, "What makes you think I'm from the country?" He goes, "Every Lonnie I know is either African American, a Hawaiian woman, or from the country. And you don't look like either of the other two. So what part of the country are you from?" I was like, "I grew up on a cotton farm west of Phoenix, about 40 miles. He goes, "Yeah, I knew it."
There you go.
Every time. And it was funny. The patient's dad yesterday, he echoes the same thing. He goes, "Yeah, my brother's name, Lonnie, but he spells it I-E." He goes, "Where'd you guys come up with that spelling? Is that his family name?" And I was like, "It is a family name." He goes, "Well, who are you named after?" I was like, "Well, my dad's name's Lonnie." He goes, "Is this spelled the same?" I said, "Yeah." And he's like, "Anyone else in the family?" So he actually has a cousin named Lonnie.
Because yours is with a Y, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's correct. But my dad's cousin spells it with an I-E. So
Oh, I didn't know.
It's like
that.
my
I
dad.
assumed it was the
My dad's
same.
name is Mark, but he spells his with a C.
no.
Everyone that writes a check to him or anything like that, it's M-A-R-K.
So does he still get to cash it?
That's a good question. I don't know.
How does he endorse it?
Wow. Dad, respond in the comments. Let us know. Anyway, so the comment from you wanted her to respond to was from
I did,
Brittany?
but I can't find it anymore. So the comments only go so deep.
You want me to do another YouTube one?
Sure.
This one's pretty hard.
Sorry, we got this.
I have really enjoyed your podcast. So you are so correct in putting effort into marriage and really anything. But is there ever a realization at any point that marriage is not fixable?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I don't know. We've seen that with family members, friends, where I think they tried, you know, for a long time.
Gotcha.
To get there. And I mean, that's a personal, individual and couple thing that you gotta really be honest with yourself about. And certainly, goodness, we had times too where we weren't sure that we were going to be able to pull through, but at the same time never got to a place where we were like, hey, I'm done. Like done, you know. I never felt that way. I worried and I questioned, but never got to that definitive feeling like we weren't going to be able to repair things.
You said that when you threw your wedding ring at me one night.
No, I said I was not putting that ring back on my finger until
you said
XYZ
I'm done.
was going to happen. I didn't tell you I wanted a divorce.
With the crap. You didn't say
yeah, it was yes, yes, and I meant it.
And you were rightfully so.
Yeah. You guys have been through a lot, but got to a better place. You know, I think it's because you both wanted to.
We did. I mean, as crazy as it might sound, I think we were both always trying to be loved and find love to hold on to. And there was a lot of unpacking in my own head that I had to do to figure out how to even understand what that meant. And that was one of the masteries that I had to obtain in order to move forward. I had to work through a lot of the BS stories that I told myself in my head that were based on what I thought was reality, my subconscious programming that was from my childhood. And it was really hard. It's funny, man, your subconscious brain. I mean, that happened 2 weeks ago. We were up in St. George over the Independence Day weekend. And I somehow got into this place where I was looking. I didn't realize this, but I was looking for ways to verify in my mind that Meredith was making me feel that I was disregarded or not important or insignificant. And that's kind of
you were looking for that?
Well, it's kind of why I wasn't necessarily consciously looking for it.
Subconsciously you were.
But I would consciously think, like, for example, I'm kind of embarrassed to share this, but this happened. I got in the shower and I started shaving and I was like, dude, dang it. Freaking razor's dull. You know? So I was like, did you shave your legs with this? She's like, yeah. I was like, why didn't you replace the head? You were like, what? You know, and I'm like, well, yeah, the least you could have done was like, you knew it dulled my blade, so you could have given me a head, a new razor replacement. And, I can't believe you didn't do that. And you're like, honey, check yourself. Like, you're getting mad at me for not replacing your razor.
I was like, I can get you another razor.
Would you like
there's
another
one right here. Do you want this? And, no, I don't want it.
And I was kind of like, rah. And then I realized, like, you're being kind of stupid, Lonnie. Like, she's right. Like, just.
Now, were there certain factors that you realized that made you react that way? Like, did you have a terrible day? Did you
traveling with, traveling with the family seems to bring out the best in me. It's just hectic and stressful. So anytime there's extra stress, you're tired. So traveling too, you're sleep deprived, long distances, it's exhausting. So then you're already run down, and then if you have
your fuse gets shorter.
Your fuse is shorter, and you don't necessarily have a positive mental state. So your demons start surfacing, right? And my biggest demon is being insignificant. I'm not significant. And that's my default programming is. Yeah. And so then I start consciously looking for, or subconsciously looking for ways to verify that I'm insignificant. And so you start like just something simple as, we agreed to this, but you did this instead. Well, that must mean I'm not important enough for you to listen to what I wanted, right? Kind of stuff. And then, but at the same time, what she wanted was just as valid. Yeah. Right. So we didn't need to go to war on it, but that's tough. So, but long story short, and answer your question, I would say, if we want to have a very short answer to your question, is there ever a time when we should look into not saving a marriage? I would say if there is an environment where the spirit of love is impossible to obtain in your home due to abuse, whether it's physical, sexual, verbal, emotional, or intentionality of continually trying to sabotage things, whatever, and the other person is not willing to correct that behavior nor provide an environment where you can thrive yourself, love can thrive on its own, that's a situation where we have to consider, what do you do? How do you move forward? How do you move out of that? If both spouses in the marriage are not committed to making it better, and it's not going to work. If only one person is committed to getting better, that person will get better.
Yeah.
But that'll actually drive you further apart if you're not both working on your marriage together.
It's really good too to have a third party that can kind of help you dissect things that are going on and kind of call each of you out on whatever area you might be stuck in, because when you're in it, sometimes you don't always like get a full picture of yourself or your spouse, or it's hard to get that bird's eye view. But to having a third party, like a trusted counselor for sure, is good. Somebody that's not biased, that can really help you dive in. But yeah, certainly there are marriages I've seen that you want them to be able to make it through and thrive and be happy, but it just isn't possible.
Yeah.
And that's okay too.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. Thank you for joining us today on the Value Script. We will be back with part 2 of question and answers. So just like Lonnie always says, clickety-click to subscribe, and we look forward to answering more questions next time.